it have a meaning, illow. It means I allow. This is the code that you have to copy and to put in your website.
Careful about our data, and we don't want to give it to anyone.
It's something called the right to be forgotten.
You said integration with one line of code, and right away I'm like, how is that possible?
Hey, if you want to be like full privacy, turn off your phone or your devices, go to an island and stay there forever.
Here we go again. So this time we are gonna go through I don't know, is that a new service per se? I think the industry has been there quite for a while, but we're talking about the brand called illow, or illow. How do you pronounce it? And it's the way I see it, it seems it's like a pretty smart GDPR banner, and basically you can just take care of all the different kind of law requirements in wherever in the world you are, and that banner is just modifies it based on the user's experience. That's what I see. But we have Rodrigo here. You're the founder of the company, so I'm super glad to have you here. So welcome.
Hi, Mikael.
Welcome.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
So can you tell us a little bit about your company and yourself? Where are you based? How did you come up with the idea? Just give us, the information about how you got started and a little bit about yourself and company.
Of course. So illow, there a lot of people pronounce it illow because it makes more sense when you read it illow, but it's mostly
And also Zillow.
Yeah,
that's correct. But it have a meaning, illow. It means I allow, and we took out the A in the middle because it was more difficult to pronounce it.
Right.
So it means like I allow, I give my consent, I permit to use my data. So that's like the vision that we have with the company, that users should be able to give their consent to the companies. And we are based in Miami. We have our headquarters there, but we also have offices in Spain and Brazil. And we did not start it with this company from the beginning. This is the third pivot that we have, but it's the one that we where we have got a lot of traction. So we started a couple of years ago. I started working on a project that was decentralized data marketplace. It was we were creating a network where we allowed people to give their data in a privacy and secure way to companies and get a reward. And after 2 years, what we discovered is that it was impossible to get a reward of something that you don't own, because the regulation says that you were the owner of your data, so you were able to do whatever you want with your data. The problem is that if I say, hey, Mikael, here, tell me, where is your data? Which company has your data? You will say, well, yes, maybe Amazon, Google, but you really don't have the data. You don't have like that ownership.
Yeah.
So you don't have like a box with, oh yes, here's my data. Like I will give it to you. And so one of the things that we saw in the market is that there's no transparency for the people. So we started the company at the beginning as a privacy antivirus app. So it was an app that allows you to discover for the users, the people, which companies have their data. And so we give that transparency to the people. And once the people could discover which companies hold their data, we allow them to take control of that data. How they could take control? For example, they could with one click request these companies to stop spamming them, or even more, they could ask to these companies to delete their data. So with there's a new data right with these regulations where you can ask the companies, hey, please delete all my data. It's something called the right to be forgotten. But what we discovered is that when the people request this, the companies were not answering. Like even more, in the case of in Europe, 79% of the companies answered, but only 12% of these companies finished deleting the data of the users. In LATAM, where I'm originally from, it was even worse. Like 37% of the companies answered, and less than 5% were deleting the data. So we saw that if we want to create this more like transparency ecosystem, more balanced ecosystem between companies and users, we should transform the way in which companies work with users' data. And so we pivot to a B2B solution. At the beginning, we wanted to build a compliant platform similar to OneTrust, but for LATAM, because we have all the knowledge of Europe and also of US, and we said, okay, let's bring this to LATAM. But then what we discovered, or after 1 year, we started growing a lot in Brazil, is that first, we are not lawyers. We have, of course, a experienced team from legal, but I'm an engineer. My co-founder, Danny, is also an engineer. And we said, okay, we believe in privacy, but we don't believe in generating more terms of use, more text. We believe more in infrastructure. Like what we want to do is that what we are building helps the company to do what they say that they are doing. Because if not, like you can say whatever you want, and sometimes for those things you have the lawyers, but then you want technology to do what you really are saying that you are doing. If you are saying that you will respect users' privacy, you need the technology to respect users' privacy. And that's how we pivot once more, and we passed from being a compliance platform to build privacy infrastructure. And that's what illow is today. And how we do it with one line of code in the company's website.
So it's super easy. This sounds kind of like that you have some sort of personal problems with all this tracking stuff, just because that you told that you first you had this virus stuff, the software in that sense and so on. So tell me about that. There must be a trauma in it.
So yes, I think that what I thought is that it should be more balanced, like ecosystem. Like previously, I was working also with telcos and banks and helping them to monetize data, like exploiting more the data. And in a certain time, I said, okay, this is not correct. Like it should be more balanced. In my case, to be really honest, we are a privacy company, but we don't believe in this like privacy zero. Like I'm really realistic. Like, hey, if you want to be like full privacy, turn off your phone or your devices, go to an island and stay there forever.
Yeah.
So how...
And even that wouldn't work probably.
That's correct. But how we see privacy is that privacy is transparency and control. What means this? For me, privacy is first transparency, to know which companies hold my data, what they are doing with my data. And control is, okay, to start doing some actions to control that. So if I want to go to the TV and put my face, okay, I'm deciding to do that. It's not that, I'm not now a privacy person. No, if you decide to do that, okay. Same with social media. Before, for example, with some Instagram, it was not possible to do and like for your profile to secure your profile and like lock it so other people will not see it. So those are some small things that shows that you can start controlling your privacy. We need much more, especially from those companies.
Yeah,
that's some example.
Rodrigo, can I ask, as a technical person, you said integration with one line of code, and right away I'm like, how is that possible? Because data might be in many different places, right? Data can be in my own database, data can be in MailChimp, it can be in maybe Google Analytics, maybe less so, but still. So how does it work? Like, what's the inner working of the service?
Perfect, good question. So what we do to start is we make websites privacy compliant with all regulations around the world, such as GDPR in Europe or CCPA in the US and other regulations. So how we do that with one line of code? You create an account with in our website, in our platform. You put your website. What we will do is we will scan all your cookies and tracking systems of your website. We will categorize that. We will create a cookie policy in more than 24 languages, and we will create this cookie banner. Once you put that line of code in your site, this cookie banner will start working. And how we do to be compliant with our regulation, we created a dynamic banner. This means that this banner will adapt to the user's region. This means, for example, if someone enters from Spain or from from Spain, that person will see what is called a GDPR banner. It's a banner with certain specifications to comply in Spain. But if someone enters from California, it's a completely different banner and different technology that start working. Or someone from Argentina. I lived a lot in Argentina, so that's another banner. So we have a dynamic solution to adapt to any regulation. So that's like our first solution, and it's one line of code. Really simple, and of course, and you can edit those things because sometimes some lawyers say, okay, I want this type of banner in this country or in this US state. And the second thing, what you're seeing is we have a second solution to help you to delete users' data. So if someone asks you, hey, please delete my data, we have a solution very similar to Zapier. What we do is we connect to different systems. So with one click, you can delete the data from that users from, as you said, from MailChimp, Salesforce, HubSpot, etc. And for that, you don't need to any line of code. You just have to integrate with our system through OAuth or API. So just put some credentials in a secure way. You will connect to those systems, and illow will delete users' data.
Well, we are located in Europe, so we have GDPR.
Yeah.
And you know, we here in Europe, we are pretty careful about our data, and we don't want to give it to anyone. But there's a lot of people also here in Europe. They say that, well, I have nothing to hide, so why would I care? You know, why does it matter to, you know, who cares if people have my data? So what do you say? What do you say to these kind of people? Why it's important that people should have a right to delete their data, what's being collected?
Perfect, good question. So first, when I say privacy, I say it's like the transparency and control. It's like you have the option. If someone doesn't, it's not like, hey, everyone have to do it. You deserve the option to do it. And so the first thing I will start. So by deleting your data, it's something it's just something that I recommend, especially from those services that you don't use. Yes, that will limit third parties to have personal data, to potentially avoid some scams. So that's the first thing. Or also to avoid people from stealing your identity for other uses. So that's a recommendation if you don't use a service, like to ask to delete your personal data. And in case of cookies, a lot of people ask me the following: should I accept cookies, reject? Like, I always accept, and I always say the same. Okay, it's your option. Cookies are not like good or bad, and I always give some examples. Like, there's 4 main categories in cookies. The necessary cookies, those are the ones that always work in the website. There are the statistic cookies, such as Google Analytics. That is so Google can know more about the people who enter to their website. Google Analytics. Then it's marketing cookies, such as Google Ads or Facebook Ads or LinkedIn Ads. Those are examples of the cookies that when you enter to a website, you will be tracked and you will see more and more ads. That's the specific cookies that people ask, should I accept or should I reject? If I'm looking for a flight from Madrid to London, then I see a lot of ads everywhere from flight to Madrid to London. So some people says, I don't want that because they continue and show me ads. But other people says, okay, I prefer to see flight ads and I'm not, I don't know. I always say example, maybe you don't have a kid.
I mean, like, irrelevant ads is not problem itself, you know. I mean, like, it's all right to see also relevant ads.
So it's depend. Previously, I worked on a company that's like a Sky Scanner, similar to Sky Scanner, but in LATAM. And one of the things that is very important is like to set up correctly the ads. And one of the things is like, for example, if you are looking for a flight, we have to try to understand if you then bought a flight or not, because it's very annoying. Like, okay, stop showing me this ad. I already bought my ticket. I'm not going to fly twice to London in this week. But that's an example. That's an example. So people are good or are bad. So depending on what you prefer, for more targeted ads or not. But again, privacy, we believe that is like election, like to have option to accept or to reject. But this doesn't mean like, oh yes, I always accept cookies. I'm like a bad person or I'm doing things bad. No, you're not doing things bad. You are deciding that you don't care to see very targeted ads. And that's an election of yourself. And if you decide that, that's okay.
So if you think about it, now there has been a push for migrating from cookies to, for example, device fingerprinting, or now, for example, you have Google Tag Manager that is server side, so that you can actually run things on the server where the visitor cannot really see any interaction with cookies and so forth. So companies are trying to combat GDPR and laws that restrict cookies. So what do you think when cookies will not be needed, when Google Analytics 4, for example, can detect you by using fingerprinting and whatnot? So how like the future looks like?
So one of the things that I always have said is that it's not correctly to say a cookie banner. Ourselves, we say the word cookie banner, but it's more like a tracking banner, yes? Because these famous cookie banners, what they do is like they detect and they stop or they block tracking systems. And this is very important because they're not only cookies, they're also iframes, there are also other things, yes? And this is very important to understand because if you say, okay, this is not a cookie banner, this is a tracking banner, then it doesn't matter if it's now a cookie or if it's Google Analytics 4, Google is changing everything to something that's called Google Analytics 4. It doesn't matter because another type of tracking system will be implemented in a certain way. And so companies will always need, in a certain way, the consent and the permission of the user. We will see how this evolves. We will see especially how Google new features evolve. But at the same time, as we talk about this, about Google, at the same time, Google is launching a Google Consent Mode. And it's the way like how you integrate Google with consent banners. So consent banner is the correct word to describe these technologies. So I think that it will continue to evolve. Of course, the companies that can move faster will give a better solution to their users to the companies. But I don't believe that consent banners will disappear.
So if I can ask one more question before you jump in, Mikael. So the thing is that what do you say to people who just say, let's install AdBlock and let's install tracking like preventing add-ons for Firefox, Chrome, and just forget about it, like not care about anything, just kill all the tracking, every single cookie that tracks you, and just not worry about it too much?
I believe that's great. And again, it's like a specific election of these people. It's like, I don't want to be tracked. I don't want to choose this, and I will choose an ad block. And it's very important for companies such as illow and other ones that to be sure that when a person uses these specific technologies, that the website doesn't break, because that's super important. Our solution or any solution of our competitors, we have to be very sure that when it's implemented on the website, if the user doesn't accept or reject, or if there is an ad block, to be sure that the website works smoothly and without any problem. And that's very, very important because it's a specific election of the user. And again, as I was saying, in the case of privacy, there are different types of companies. In our case, we're more a company that says, okay, let's give the users election to choose. Other companies such as DuckDuckGo, that I really love, is like, no, we don't want to generate any data, and we're going to create a browser like without. And I think it's great, and the combination of the two is even better.
I've been using, because I also, well, I think me and Artem, we both are pretty deep in tech and all that stuff. So I've been using DuckDuckGo for some years, and also I've been using Brave browser for it. But then now, just like maybe a couple of months back, I just returned back to Chrome just because DuckDuckGo search, even though it's all right, but yeah, it's still, when you have the cookies, then you actually get more relevant search results, and which just makes the life so much easier. But I absolutely. What is the no fines protector? What you have here? That is interesting.
Good question.
Part.
So one of the things that we realize is that in like for example with GDPR and other regulations, but there's no official certification. If someone says, "Oh, you will be certified by GDPR," that's a lie, and it happens a lot in the market. There's no like official certification of like any type of government like you are GDPR compliant. So, and what we give, our solution is very technical. So mostly developers, designers, technical teams are the people who implement illow. So one of their main question is, okay, I'm compliant, like I am certified. And what we say, okay, there's no like official certification, but we can give you a certification of illow. Like, yes, we can certify that we say that your website is privacy compliant. And to show you how much we believe in this, and to show you that you can have more peace of mind, if you have any fine, we will pay it. So in that way, what we generate is more trust in our technology. Second thing is that to show, especially for example in the US, that there's more regulation now per state, that we will be updated 24/7, because if there's a new regulation, we want to implement it also, because we don't want to pay also fines. You will not have to pay it, but we don't want to pay it neither. So that's like an incentive, especially for our tech teams and our legal team, to be 24/7 updated, and especially peace of mind. So that designer, that developer, that product manager can tell to their CEO, to their founder, to their director, hey, I'm using a technology, we are compliant, and if we have any problem, we will not have to pay a fine.
So what do you say to companies that, small companies specifically, who say it's too expensive, too difficult, I don't care. Like, what can they do to me? Like, I don't want to provide right to, be forgotten. I don't want to put cookie banners, because, for example, when it comes to GDPR, it's not like somebody is checking every single website, in Europe and making sure that everything is compliant. It's more like, if somebody complains, then I think you have 6 weeks to remedy the situation. If you don't do it. So a lot of companies, I will be honest, a lot of my clients just say, I will take the risk. Who cares? So what do you say to companies like that?
What I say to them is, first, the GDPR complaint is very complex. Yes, and I understand. So I really understand when say, I don't want to do it. I talk with some lawyers and they want to charge me $20,000. Like, it doesn't make sense for a small company. So the first thing I will say is, you can start, and you can start with, like in our case, $10 per month. And the most important thing is that what we always say is, like, your website is like your house. Yes, and it's the way how your users know you. And it's very important when you are building your house, when you're building your company, in the outside to be very nice, beautiful. Yes, we know, especially myself as a founder, that in the inside of your house, in the inside of your company, sometimes everything is a mess. You are still continue building, trying, but to the outside, you have to show you very professional. And in this case, that's the outside of the house, and that's your website. And so, for example, with illow, what we do is, like, we give that first layer of privacy that you need, the consent banner, and the policies, and the right to be forgotten. So with that, you are showing your users that you are respecting their privacy. And then as you grow, you can implement all the other GDPR things that you will have to implement in the future. But that's very important to start. And so that's a recommendation. So first thing, that, because to comply with users, to start complying in an easy way, and then you can take do other things for GDPR if you want, of course. And the third thing is, we are seeing some changes in the mind of the people. So at the beginning, very similar to if I'm a company, should I protect the ecosystem? At the beginning, companies didn't care really. Like, oh, I cannot like do things change how I produce things. I will lose more money. Why should I do it? Then new regulations appears. They say, okay, maybe I will do it. Then fines appear, and they start saying, okay, I have to start taking care of the world. And then the people start saying, hey, you cannot do whatever you want. Like, you cannot produce without taking care of the world. And now, for example, in some cases, I have seen some companies that sells bottles of water that they say, hey, for each bottle of water that you buy, we will plant a tree. So in this case, being friendly with the ecosystem is an advantage. Yes. And same with privacy.
Very true.
And with privacy, we're seeing that it's happening the same. Like, if you see the last ads of Apple, they are not selling their iPhone saying, hey, we have the best camera, the best screen, the best apps. That was before. Now they are saying iPhone is privacy. The last ads of iPhone talks about there are even more and are also features that they are launching is like iPhone is privacy, and they are trying to sell that. And as more companies see that this is an advantage, as customer service, as quality of your product, as pricing, now privacy is an extra, and it will depend if you believe in this or not. But I believe that this will move forward, and more people will take care about this. So you should implement it also from an advantage point of view.
So I think this is a really good introduction and a really good overview of your product. Maybe before we wrap up, maybe you could showcase, demo your product a little bit, maybe in a few minutes, just to understand how it works. Because when you talk about GDPR and privacy and compliance, it's very hard to actually like visualize what is it that you actually offer.
Yeah,
absolutely. And even more, I always say, all companies in a presentation or when you talk are great, and all companies in a spreadsheet are unicorns. But then you really have to see if the product. So this is the main screen. So the first thing is that we have a dashboard, yes, with an integration process. So what we do is once you create an account, you will put your website, we will scan everything, and you will see this integration process. This is to help you to see the steps that you have to do to be fully integrated with illow. So you will see that you have here in red some things to do. For example, in this case, to integrate the banner. Yes. So this is the code that you have to copy and to put in your website. Really simple. You have to put it through Google Tag Manager, and also we have a plugin for WordPress. So this is very simple step. Then is to have the banner customization. So for banner customization, the first thing that we have is multi-language. Multi-language means that the person who visits your website will see this cookie banner in his browser's language. And we have more than 24 languages. So this is the first step of transparency. So you don't have to build it in English or in Spanish or in French. It's already automated. Then we believe in the UX. We believe that privacy should not be ugly. If you have an amazing website, you deserve an amazing privacy solution. So you can change the format of the banner. This is the one that I more like, and you can change all the colors also. Even more, you can put the specific color of your company. For example, I will change it here. These are some examples. Then you have the widget. The widget is here, this circle. You can choose to have a widget or not, or you can change even more like the type of widget that you like. I will choose this GDPR. You can change this text, very simple. So I will just put what text here, and you will see how it changes really, really fast. And then, so we have different dynamic systems. The first is the language, and the second thing is the banner. So our banner is dynamic. This means that we have different type of banners. So this is the GDPR banner: reject bottom, accept bottom, same color, custom permission. Yes, I already accepted. That's why it's this way. I hate reject all. Yeah, custom permissions or the details of the cookies. So this is like the famous GDPR banner. Yes, it includes a cookie policy. Also, the cookie policy is in 24 languages. Also, if you add new cookies, we will edit the cookie policy 24/7. And this is the global banner. This is the banner used where there are no very specific regulations, such as in Europe. Yes, so there are regulations, but it's not like very clear. So in this case, you don't have the reject button. So with this, it's more easy to get more consents. And then you have the famous US opt-out banner. Yes, this is used for California. It's really different. Let me present. So in this case, cookies are always collected, but in California, you are able to choose this option and to opt out. Yes, and what is very powerful from our solution is the banner by region. In the banner by region, what we do is that you can see which type of banner will be shown in which countries or in each state of for example, in the US. So this is very powerful because you will adapt to each regulation automatically. And you can change this because sometimes it happens. Like, for example, if you're an agency, you have 30 customers and one customer have a lawyer that says, no, we want like in all these countries to use GDPR. Like we want in Australia to use GDPR. Okay, no problem. You can change that. Or in some cases we have like, no, we have our customer, most of our customers are in Florida and they want like a very strict also technology in Florida. So you can add Florida here, for example, and choose the type. I think that I already added Florida. And you can choose here, I already added before, the type of banner that you want for Florida, for example. So this is very powerful, especially for agencies that they have to manage 30, 40, 50 customers. And each one, sometimes they ask specific things. No, I prefer this, or I prefer the other thing. So this will allow you to not to implement or buy different technologies, but only choose one, such as illow. And you can manage everything here, like in one platform. So you can choose different websites. We have the cookie categorization. So these are all the cookies that the website has. We categorize automatically. You can change this classification. And we have the cookie consent log. This is very important to prove the compliant. Yes. So this it's an example of how people interact with the banner. And then we have the policies. So as I mentioned, you can you have a cookie policy. If you don't want to use our cookie policy, you can add your own cookie policy. You just put the link to your cookie policy, and the banner will change that link. Privacy policy, the same. You can use your privacy policy and link it, or you can use illow's privacy policy. It will take you 35 minutes to complete because it will ask you some questions, and with that will create you a privacy policy, also in 24 languages. And so that's for the consent and for the cookie solution. Yes. And then what we have is what we call privacy ops. That is like this form where people can request their data. And with just one click, if you want, you can add this form to the cookie banner. Let me show you how this looks. This is, of course, like extra customization, but if you choose for the form to be included in the cookie banner, a link that says my right will appear. And when people click here, what they will see is this form where they can complete and ask different data rights, such as data deletion. When people complete this, we will verify the user's email, and then you will have a dashboard in the platform with all the requests of the users. So this is an example, in our case with illow, 100% integration, the process. So you are sure that everything fine and you are protected, of course.
Yeah, looks very thorough.
Yeah. Now that I can actually see that thing and now when I'm comparing it, when I was doing my research before this interview, I was thinking about it. It's just another cookie consent banner and pretty expensive one because there's cheaper ones as well. But now that I actually see that it's not just a cookie banner, it's the whole different kind of software. And so now I understand the pricing stuff. Now it feels like it's pretty appropriate. Only thing is that we as Europeans, because we have a ton of different languages, so we would basically all need to have the Pro at least because there's the multi-language option.
Yeah.
So it's always a minimum of $40 per month. So then again, it goes a bit high, but I mean, I think this is, as far as my experience, this seems to be the best and most thorough banner service what I've ever seen. So
Yes, and,
pretty
and,
good
and
job.
of course we're learning a lot of our customers. So we tend, as we launch, the reality is that as we launch more and more features, like other features, we start adding it to like cheaper, let's say, tiers. So it's very common, like if we launch like better features as we want, yes, then to start adding other features such as maybe multi-language in the $10 tier. So that's something that we do a lot. So at the beginning, okay, we have these features. Let's try to differentiate. As we launch more and more, we start like also adding other ones, other features to the lower tiers. And yes, and something that we're getting a lot of traction, especially from agencies, mostly because what we have seen is that they create a website, they build amazing websites, then they don't want to put a white cookie banner like square. It's like Windows 98. Doesn't make sense for an agency to do that. Second thing, to manage all the websites in one place, we also have roles and permissions, so you can give specific access to your customer to a specific website, so they can not see all the platform, but only their own website. And also, we have a great scalability in pricing technology. This means that we have some agencies that are telling us, hey, I have, for example, one has 90 websites and tells us, I want 1,000 for next year. Like how this will scale. And we have like, in the case of the pricing, we have a way where you will pay less for each domain while you scale. So you will not have to pay $10,000 for our technology.
Yeah, that would be pretty expensive.
And the other thing that we have also is like we have an API. So our API also allows you, if you have 1,000 websites, to integrate those 1,000 websites with our technology in a couple of minutes. So that's how also we are growing a lot with hosting companies, agencies that want to scale from a technology point of view, but also from a pricing point of view. So, okay, I want to scale, but assure me that I will implement this very fast, and also let me know I don't want to spend a lot of money.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And before we wrap up, Rodrigo, you mentioned that you live in Argentina, right?
Yes. So I'm based in Argentina. Yes, but I'm always visiting our office. I'm mainly in between Spain and also going a lot to our office in Miami.
So how big is your company? How many clients you have so far? How far are you in your journey?
Very good question. So we have a little more than 4,000 clients around the world. 44% of them are in Europe, 33% are in the US, and 7% in Brazil. And then we have the other ones all around the world. We have customers in, if I'm not correct, in 67 countries in this moment.
Wow.
We are 10 people in the company plus consultant. So especially from legal point of view, growth and other things, we use a lot of consultants. Yeah, we don't believe like more people is better. In this moment, we're trying to like be very, very efficient in that way, having just consultants for specific things, but we prefer like a very solid team and move faster. We deploy new features in a weekly basis. So that's something as this is changing so much. We launch new features in a weekly basis, and that's what we believe a differentiator.
That's
Awesome.
That's really great. That's really great. Thank you so much for taking the time talking to us today. It was truly a pleasure to learn about your company and about yourself. Now that you have demoed the product, I think we both understand it much better, and people watching the podcast will probably realize how much value add this service brings. So thank you so much. And yeah, we will definitely be taking a look with Mikael, and maybe using it in our future project. Looks awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, looks
And
amazing.
Mikael, Artem, thank you very much for this invitation. And I'm here for any question, anything that you need.
Thank you. That's lovely.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.